Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 39. This one is called Back to School Buzz Engaging College Students. So, when this episode airs, I believe it's going to be in August. So, you might be thinking about the kids coming back to school, whether or not you're necessarily in a college town. You might be somewhat adjacent to one. Maybe you just have some community colleges near you. Tune in, listen up, because I think that there is an absolute market to be had for, I was about to call them cheap, but they're not cheap, for poor college students. There really is. So that's what this episode is dedicated to, how you can engage them, how you can increase your market share, how you can make money when we're talking about engaging college students, whether they are part-time college students, community college students that are commuting, or you live near a major university or college and there's college students around you. So I first want to preface this by saying the second restaurant that I owned and opened was called Il Bico. And it was in Boston, which is known as a college town, right? And it was on Commonwealth Ave in Kenmore Square, which Kenmore Square is the heart of actually many different kind of universities kind of share the space, but BU certainly, it's just a T ride away from BC, Northeastern, MIT, Harvard. Well, MIT is a little far, but Harvard, it's close to all of those things, but really in the heart of BU, Boston University, which is a major university. And I have to say this, we did not plan well for college students. We did not know what we were getting into. So I've been on the other side of this. And as a matter of fact, after that experience of owning and running Il Bico for the year that we had it, I decided that I hated college students, mainly because we were trying to do more of a higher end Italian restaurant in an area that we should not have been doing that in. I mean, it's on Commonwealth Ave, so there are certainly other people that live on Commonwealth that are not college students, a lot of professors and other people that, that have money because they can afford to live in that area and certainly do want to go and eat out. But they weren't coming to our restaurant. It was the college students that were coming, and talk about the phrase chew and screw. They had it mastered. It happened way more than once, and it would happen to us on large parties. And you might be thinking, how on earth did you let that happen? Well, I can distinctly remember this one time. I think it was an 18 top. I think it was 18, maybe 20 college students sat. We fed them. There was pizza, there was pasta, all kinds of things. And then some would get up. That was back then when there was a lot more people smoking. So they'd go outside to smoke, a whole group of them. Then they'd come back, and then another bigger group would then go outside, and then some would go to the bathroom, and some would go use their phone. And there was a lot of back and forth because there'd be a point where there might be 3 or 4 people left seated at this large table because they were done eating. But then they would leave, and 2 would come back, and it was just a constant movement for over a few hours until eventually they all just sort of disappeared it was like a choreographed. It was unbelievable how they did it, but it happened more than once, and then we ended up getting stuck with some pretty large bills there. So, at that point, I decided I absolutely hate college students. But here's the thing: years later, I learned that we were just doing the wrong concept. There is an absolute way that you can engage and be profitable and make money with college students if you can just meet them where they are, which is usually broke. Not a lot in Boston, but definitely. That's definitely what we encountered. So here's what we're going to go over today. And I'm going to give you some ideas that I've kind of learned over time from being a professor at BU and talking to all the students in my class about their dining out options and things like that. So we're going to go over 3 points. One is why college students are one of the most influence-driven demographics. They are the influencer era. So absolutely, not only just in terms of getting butts in the seats from them, the way they can drive traffic to your business is incredible. Influencers are huge with that demographic. So we want to tap into that. Secondly, easy ways to use student discounts, loyalty cards, even more so, running certain specials to get them in, to grab a group of them together and get them in the door. We're going to talk about a few things you might be able to do there. And then, of course, leveraging social media. Again, they are the influencer era. So we're talking about using Instagram, Reels, certainly TikTok, talking to campus groups, going and hopefully being able to maybe have a table at some of their different groups and things like that, whether we're talking the Hellenic panel, so fraternities, sororities, whatever it is, there is room there to get your name, get your foot in the door, and again, just meet them where they're at, and you could be wildly successful. Of course, I would have to say that your concept needs to kind of match that, but to be honest with you, when I'm thinking, when I'm preparing for this episode and thinking about it, I'm not even sure there isn't a concept. What I'm trying to say, that there isn't a concept that cannot find a way to this genre, to this group. I think that, so what I'm saying is, I think that any style restaurant can find a way if you are in a heavily college area, that you can make this work for you. So even though I say, like, yep, you want to make sure you're a concept that can speak college student, I think that you can create something no matter what you do that can speak college student, and it can be really cool and really fun and really creative. So just keep an open mind as you're listening to this, that even if you are a, fancy schmancy or fancy-ish French bistro, or, a Michelin starred restaurant, or whatever you are, there might be a way that you can tap into this market and make it advantageous to you. I bet there is. So just keep an open mind as we go through a few things here. Okay. Now, there's something that we created here in terms of the 3 C's of college crowd marketing. This is what we've kind of been working on developing with my marketing team here. Again, we're 20 minutes south of Boston, huge college town. Anywhere you go in and around the city of Boston, you're going to bump into colleges. So it's often on our minds. And we were brainstorming on how we can kind of drill everything down into what we are calling the 3 C's of college crowd marketing and really make this successful for your restaurant. So the first C is going to be connect. And this is really, again, meeting them where they are, connecting with clubs, student organizations, and especially if you can find the influencers on campus. And I bet that you can, with a little bit of sleuthing on Instagram, maybe talking to a couple of college students that you happen to know, or even throwing a post out there and asking, hey, if you know influencers, please send them our way. We'd just love to meet them. Without, influencers are valuable. So you can't just be like, oh, have them come in and review me. No, there's going to be a little bit more groundwork you have to lay there. But if you can get an influencer to your restaurant, that is the creme de la creme. That's amazing, but I'm not even suggesting, because that can be a long road. It can be a little bit more difficult. Because if they just go everywhere and give everybody a shout out, they're not really going to be considered an influencer. So they have to be super picky about where they go. So it's great to lay some breadcrumbs there, but I'm not going to put all my eggs in the influencer basket. Instead, focus your time on partnering with clubs and student organizations that mean something to you, that maybe you already have an affiliation with. So one thing I had thought of when it comes to that is there's a lot of sororities and fraternities among colleges. Maybe, some colleges have less or more students that engage with that, but overall that is going to be a part of your demographic when it comes to colleges, are fraternities and sororities. And if you know anything about them, they're very hive driven. They're all about being very, very inclusive of their own group. It's about brotherhood and sisterhood and really being close. Very, very loyal to their house. So one thing that you could possibly do, especially if you're located near the campus or on the campus, is offering to wear their, I'll say their code, but it's really their Greek alphabet. It's their name on their t-shirt. So maybe one day a week, you have everybody that works in your establishment wear this one sorority's, could be alpha, AD Pi, Alpha Delta Pi, whatever it is, and they wear it, and like they would just get a giggle out of that. They would come in and they'd be taking pictures, they'd be posting about it, and then so maybe it's just one day a week you say, hey, bring us the T-shirts because you don't have to buy them, or maybe you come up with an idea of that you say, hey, we'll buy a dozen T-shirts from you and wear them on Friday if you can get 20 brothers to show up or something like that. I'm just throwing out some idea out there, but I do know that if you could come up with a fun marketing campaign where you're going to wear that house's shirts one day a week, and you do it maybe just once a semester or once a year, once a calendar year, that they would be fighting each other to be able to have you wear their T-shirts at your restaurant, and it will drive so much business, and it'll make a competition among the houses, which is what they love. Greek competition is huge. So that's one. And then of course there's other student organizations like the student government and the gazillion other clubs and organizations that they have there, where you can find out who are the heads, whether it's the academic advisors or the actual students that are the president or lead the club, and just invite them in and have a sit down coffee or tea or a snack or a breakfast or whatever it is with them, and find out how you might be able to become involved and how it can be a win-win situation right there. I think they'd love just to be asked, and maybe you don't come up with a win-win, but I bet that you absolutely can. So that's number one of the 3 C's: connect, build partnerships with clubs. The low-hanging fruit definitely is the Greek community, which is sororities and fraternities, but then there are a gazillion other student organizations that you can tap into. They'll all be on the website, and just start reaching out to them and seeing how you can make it work. And of course, that hopefully could lead to influencers, or maybe you can find influencers on your own. The second C is create. So you want to create something for student only. Now, the easy peasy one, the one that every business that I know, or just about every business I know that is located in or near a college community, has: show your student ID, get 10% off, right? It's very, very common. And yeah, you should do that too, maybe. But it's not a whole lot of thought went into offering that promotion. So it might not really get you much of anything. It kind of depends on a few different things, but overall, it's kind of boring. There was nothing fun in there. It didn't require you to do any heavy lifting other than putting a sign saying, students get 10% off, show us your ID. So no, I'd say figure out what your students want and give it to them. So there are things like, you could do a buy one, get one free day. Of course, again, not a lot of heavy lifting thought went into that, but students love that because I'd say, in my experience, and I have a son in college now, and he tells me everything about his experience. So they travel in groups. Students travel in groups. They travel in groups, or they at least travel with one other person. So a buy one, get one free would absolutely work for the college community. Rarely do you see people by themselves. I mean, you do, but it's pretty unusual in college. Mostly they travel in small groups, big groups, or at least pairs. They love a deal, right? Because again, most college students, I'd probably say over 90% are broke. And they love a deal. So a combo deal, and they're also hungry. I mean, for various reasons, they are hungry. So a combo deal will get them every day of the week. If you can just figure out a way, whatever it is that you're selling, that you make a combo deal and it's only available to students only. So maybe that's where you say, show us your ID, and you know what, and you can have this amazing combo meal. And maybe it's like 2 large sodas, and it's a pizza, and it's this, that, whatever it is that you're selling. Don't be shy, but you can create it so that it's a money maker for you and they feel like they're getting a steal. Late night bites, if that fits. I mean, students, late night, they're up late, let's face it, all the time. Not every other place is going to stay up. The dining halls, no matter, I'd say, where you are in most college campuses, the dining halls are going to close by 10, 11, maybe 12 if you're lucky. So if you can be a late night place for them, you could get all the business. Where I went to college with the University of Rhode Island, there was this one pizza place at the top of campus. It was just off campus. It was right at the top. that stayed open. God, I don't know if they were open 24/7. They stayed open at least 2 or 3 a.m. and they got all the business. It was the place to go, the place to be. They were always busy because I think we were loyal, because we knew we could go to them at 2 a.m. when we were dying for a pizza. So when it comes to talking about doing late night bites, now you could be thinking, well, how am I going to staff that? I can't have my staff there. You could design a late night bite menu that is extremely simple, that maybe 1 or 2 people can run it. I would always recommend, of course, having 2 people on. And it doesn't have to be your full menu. You could offer 5 things total, and that's what they get for that late bite menu, to make it super easy for you to be able to execute that. Now, along the lens of creating, there's something else I just wanted to offer, because I saw this on my Instagram feed a couple of weeks ago, but I'd seen it before too, and it's about a restaurant in New York that named all of their menu items after office supplies. So they would have like the stapler, and it was like a club sandwich. And then they would have, a ream of paper or a case of paper, and it would be, I don't know, their chicken thing. And so every name was an office supply. So the whole point was, if you were to submit a receipt, or whether it was to your boss to get reimbursed, or whether it was to the government, this receipt would look like you went to an office store and bought a whole bunch of office supplies. And so something you'd be able to write off. Now, it's in jest because, the IRS, and probably your boss, is not that dumb, and they're going to look at the place the receipt came from and realize it's a restaurant. You didn't go to a restaurant to shop for office supplies. So it was really just kind of fun. I mean, some people might be able to get away with that, but overall, I wouldn't recommend getting away with that. But here's my idea for college students. Now, especially if a college student is using their parents' money to buy food out. So speaking as a parent of a college student, I have, my son has a credit card that I control. I turn it on and off just with the app or online very easily. And there are times where I'll turn it on and be like, okay, he has to go buy textbooks. All right, go buy your textbooks. Let me know when they're done. He tells me he bought them, and I turn it off just so he can't go use it crazy, right? And there are times once in a while I'm like, all right, you know what? Go ahead, buy yourself a pizza, because it doesn't matter if your college says that they have the best food in the world, the best dining hall food in the world. And a lot of them claim that they do. And they're probably, in some days, it's probably really good. Overall, everyone gets sick of eating that dining hall food. They really, really do. So being able to order out or eat out once a month, once a week would probably be great for most students, but even if it's once or twice a month, it goes a long, long way for not only their psyche, but just, for their social game, everything. So what I thought would be fun is if you were a restaurant that's really close or on a college campus, if you named some of your menu items after textbooks, for example, but even beyond textbooks, you could name them after school supplies that are needed. Textbooks, like I said, self-help books, because what parent doesn't want to believe that their kid is all about trying to better themselves and become this amazing, responsible, accountable adult? So you could name some off for self-help books. Another one I came up with, which would be, you could create a name of How to Appreciate My Parents More book. I mean, they would love seeing that. Again, it's in jest, or not, but really in jest. But it would just be a fun thing to get students to talk about if you had a menu board and you named them all after what looks like school supplies, textbooks, anything that your parents would happily give you money to buy. That's what you name your menu item at. And then when your parents most likely would get hip to that, but it would just be fun. It would be funny. It would create a lot of TikTok or Instagram moments, which is exactly what you want. There would be buzz around that. So that's the second C, create. Think of different things that you could create among the student community that's near your restaurant that could help not only bring visibility, but certainly bring some sales. And then lastly, the third C is capture. So we want to make it easy, very easy for your students to tag, review, and share online. We want to make it easy for them. So whether or not you believe in social media. Let's hope that you do, especially if you have a restaurant in a college community, because they're all on it, love it or hate it. So photo walls, QR codes are free, easy to create. You should have QR codes for everything. Photo walls, give them an incentive to be able to share from your establishment or about your establishment, and they will. And don't be cheap on that. Whether it is that you buy them lunch on the house, if they create a post and they can get the first to reach 100 likes on their post, as long as they bring it in and show it to you, lunch is on the house, free pizza, things like that. Because literally, if you think about it, if you can get one person to create a post that's about your restaurant, that's not you already, the algorithm for Instagram, Facebook, TikTok are already going to love that. So somebody else outside your organization is creating a post about you and then can go out and get at least 100 likes. That's huge for you. And then, maybe they didn't buy anything, although chances are they probably have to make the post. They didn't buy anything. That visibility is priceless. Maybe there's a tier if somebody gets 1,000 likes, and maybe 1,000 likes, they get, free coffee for a month. You can make different tiers of that just to help that engagement really, really soar. So those are some ideas when it comes to colleges. Oh, I'm at 21 minutes already. So I'm going to wrap this up. Perfect timing. The last thing I wanted to mention is that we put together a free student engagement playbook for you. If you do have a restaurant that's in or around any college campuses, that's offered on our free tools page. It's called the 5 Strategies to Attract and Retain College Students. So again, you can download that for free on our Profit First, the number 4 restaurants.com, profitfirst4restaurants.com/tools, or all of our tools live, but this one especially is going to be a new one that is available to you. And that is it. I am wrapping up for the day. Again, please, please, please share, like this episode. That means so much. And what means even more is if you just reach out one-on-one to me, Kasey. I love to hear from you. The good, the bad, the ugly. I get back to every single one of my emails. So I'd love to hear from you. And you can always reach me at Kasey with a K. So that's Kasey at sparkbusinessconsulting.com. Or you can message me right through our websites, whether it's sparkbusinessconsulting.com, KaseyAnton.com, or ProfitFirst4Restaurants.com. As always, thanks so much for listening. I'll see you on the next one.